Hello, hello. Happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Day. I'm Drew Doherty. That's John Harris. And you are you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you being here. It's just the three of us, John, me, and you. So, John, with Independence Day here, it made me
Mhm.
think back to 2011, maybe
Okay.
2012. Gary Kubiak went to the Middle East as part of a USO NFL tour, and he got to like ride in a helicopter and see some stuff, and there were some really cool pictures. But it reminded me, hey, let's take a moment and let's think back in Texans terms about patriotic stuff. And I thought about that. I thought about the football game. I can't remember who the Texans played, but it was around 2010, 2011 ish when George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush both had been out of office. They were not presidents anymore, but they were both at the same game. I don't know how many times that's happened in an NFL game. Two presidents. I'm
Oh,
sure it
good
has, but
question.
gosh, that was pretty wild. It was just a regular season game, and the two Bush guys were the former presidents were at the game, and it was, hey, look, there's George W. Bush, there's George H.W. Bush. But yeah, it's something that the Texans are a patriotic organization. They've always loved Salute to Service Day. They were doing it before everyone else did. They weren't
Yep.
doing the profiting off of it, like many people did. But yeah, plus we've had Johnsons, Andre Johnson. There have been some presidents with the last name Johnson, Andrew Johnson, Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yep.
Who else? Who else? President
There have
wise,
been no presidents named Stroud that we know of.
right?
So maybe
Adams.
there's
We've had
time
an
for that.
Adams or two, right? Didn't we have a
Uh,
Jeff Adams?
we had Jeff Adams, offensive tackle back in 2014,
Yeah.
2015. Yeah. Jeff
Mm-hmm.
Adams, who actually went to Columbia. So have we had a Monroe?
You know what? My uncle
I
Google. I can ask
don't
him.
know that we've had I don't know that we've had a Monroe.
I wrote an
For
article about this a
We've
while
had
back.
Washingtons. We had Nate Washington. I remember that in
Yep.
15. We've had
Yep.
Washingtons. Um, Cleveland's. I don't know that we've had. There's Ben Cleveland, but he doesn't play for us.
No Hoovers, no Tafts.
I don't think so.
No. Anyways. Yeah.
Have we had a Bush? We almost had Reggie Bush.
Man, I kind of feel like we have. Anyways,
We had Frank Bush as a coach.
that'll work.
Yeah,
That'll work.
yeah.
Yeah. So what are you going to do for the fourth, man?
That's a great question. Actually, it's after the fourth, but I'm going to Big 12 Media Days in Vegas.
Right.
So Vegas is always kind of an interesting place for things like that because it's Vegas. So it's, the lights and the pomp and circumstance, and you want to go to eat and a show and all that kind of stuff. But then you realize, wait a second, I got to go work. So it's kind of a working pseudo vacation before training camp the following week. So yeah, next Monday, I'll be flying to Vegas. I'll be there for Big 12 Media Days. They've moved it to Vegas. The Big 12 is going through its changes.
Mm-hmm.
Lost Texas and Oklahoma, but it gained the four corner schools of Utah, Colorado, Arizona State. And that actually is going to make the Big 12, those four, that's going to make the Big 12 that much more attractive because Utah has picked to win the Big 12. Colorado has got two of the most polarizing players in the country, not to mention Dion as the coach. Arizona might be as talented. It's got my number one wide receiver in the 2025 draft, Tetsuo McMillan, who is just tremendous, and his quarterback from Servite High School, Noah Fafita, who is great. And I'm glad he finally got a chance to play last year and he showed what he can do. So you have those three, and then Arizona State is not thought to be very good, but it's Arizona State. So Arizona State brings a certain, I think, panache, if that's the right word, in certain areas. And so I think Arizona State coming in, those four coming in are coming at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really cool to see that. So they decided we'll go even further west and go to Vegas for media days. So that's where we're all headed. Last year was up in Jerry World, which is pretty cool. Brett Yormark, who's taking over as a commissioner in Big 12, he thinks like college commissioners, college ADs need to start thinking. He's thinking business first. And I think that's a change in college sports from that perspective. There's always been money, TV money in particular, but the way that he thinks business wise, he thinks marketing. And I don't know that other commissioners have thought that way. Commissioners that have been around for a long time are, concerned about performances of schools and, there's realignment, all that. He has been business first. And I
Yeah.
think that's made the Big 12 interesting. So then the following week, I'm going to go for a day up to Dallas for SEC Media Days. And they break it up into 4 days, but I'll be up there for a day. Then we got to get back because camp is that Thursday. So I got to get back. I'll be doing a radio show with Sean Pendergast on the 16th. So we'll get back together, which will be kind of fun. And then we have the 17th to kind of recover. And then the 18th, it's go time.
Yeah.
It is go time.
All right. So 90 men are on a roster until end of August, early September before you cut them.
Right.
Texans signed 31 free agents this offseason. Some of them were their own. Some of them came from other teams. Of those 31, plus or minus or over under, how many do you think were from another team? And I'll set the over under at 20. Think that's over or under?
20 was going to be the number. So I'll go under.
18. Texans signed 18 free agents from another team. And looking at it, like if you just look at it chronologically, they signed, four guys, Dalton Schultz, Kymie Fairbairn, Eric Murray, Desmond King, right in the first few days of free agency, March 8th, March 12th, those four guys got signed. So nothing was happening until March 14th. That's when you had Daniil Hunter. That's when Joe Mixon signed his new deal. Basically, he was traded, but technically he was signed. And then the next day, Azeez Al-Shire, Danico Autry, Mike Ford. These are when they got announced, basically. We'd heard the news about some of them. But it's interesting to look at it that way. And then Stephon Diggs came on April 4th. That was announced on April 4th. Ben Skoranek from the Rams is the last one, May 14th. That's the last player that the Texans have signed free agent-wise. But it's just interesting to look at it because you can go back all the way to 2002. You know who the first free agent technically signed with the Texans was, right?
I don't know that I know this.
Real obvious. Steve McKinney on March 6th.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was the first. I didn't know he was the first.
He was.
Wow.
And then, And then Kylie Wong was the next day on the 7th. So it's just really interesting. And I'm saying this because the Texans media relations department, helmed by Omar Mazoub, has the Texans free agency history in their new 2024 media guide. It's always fun to look through. But
I always love how the team is built and looking at how, how we got here. And there are always a couple of things that stand out, like who's been with the Texans, the longest.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the longest tenured Texan? Well, we know it's John Weeks for a long time, and we kind of put Weeksy up on a shelf. He's kind of the Hall of Famer in that regard. So and then Kymie Fairbairn comes next. Who is the longest tenured Texan outside of our specialists?
Well, that would it's probably Andre Johnson because that's whose record.
No. I'm talking about on the team now.
Current. It's got to be Titus Howard, maybe, or
it's Titus Howard. How about that?
Yeah.
Titus still feels like a young guy. Like I still think of young Titus Howard, but he's the longest tenured Texan, followed by Laramie Tunsil. Was a few months later. So those two are the longest tenured Texans, which is crazy to think about.
He left and he came back, but Lonnie Johnson, he was in that mix too.
That's right. He was 2019. That's right. And then he
tenure
came back.
Doesn't count, but he's got a history with the team for sure.
Yeah. No doubt. And I think one of the things that strikes me, you talk about signing your own free agents. In that 2020 offseason, when everything was going crazy with COVID, the Texans signed Eric Murray. Eric Murray is one of the longest tenured Texans to go with Laramie Tunsil and Titus Howard, which is, it's incredible to think about. It's like that year, the draft was Charlie Heck, John Grenard, and obviously John's moved on to Minnesota. Charlie has stayed here, and then they signed Eric Murray as a free agent. So I always look at the longest tenured players with the Texans. And then when you think about those guys, they've been through it now. They have been through it and got hopefully through to the other side. And they all have a significant impact, whether they're starters. Obviously, Laramie, a Pro Bowl starter, Titus, more than likely starting at right tackle, and Eric Murray has found his way with this team, making an impact when he has been healthy. And I think we really missed him last year. I think we really missed Eric Murray. We had to go out and get Adrian Amos and DHC, and those guys played well given the constraints. But I think Eric Murray would have given them that much more. So I always look at that part of how teams are built, because it's still it's an interesting mix of guys because they brought over these free agents, and then Dalton Schultz stayed. Eric Murray stayed. So you sign guys for a year and then they end up staying with you, which I think is fantastic. But it's such a mix of these grizzled vets with these young dudes that hopefully can merge it together and become the team everybody really wants us to be.
So another thing here, Andre Johnson wore the number 80. He's not the only person in franchise history, though, to wear the number 80.
Ooh, I know this.
This is the most random thing. Yeah.
It's not a name that people are going to recognize, but I'm trying to remember who wore it before him.
I'm guessing he was the franchise's first long snapper.
Be, yeah.
Yeah, because it's Sean McDermott, and he's listed as a tight end long snapper from Kansas, and he played in 2002. Well, then Andre got here in 03 and then did what he did. They're not like, his number's not retired, but his number is basically retired. Nobody's going to wear it number 80 unless it's a special circumstance and he's, like we can, his number will not get worn again unless it's just totally weird. Same for 99. Now, 99, JJ Watt's number, that has not been worn since he left here, but a lot of people before him wore it. Guys like Tim Jameson in 09 and 10 wore 99.
Okay.
Adewale Ogunleye out of Indiana.
Yep.
2010. Our buddy Travis Johnson, he was 99. That's right.
Trap J wore 99. He was the last one to wear it before JJ, right?
Yeah, no, because Ogunleye and Jameson would have worn it, because Travis left right before the 09 season started. Robert Smith was a good, solid Texan. He was a good, solid career. Good dude, too. Big fan. And he and Travis Johnson are now neighbors, and they're related by marriage. Steve Martin, not the comedian. He wore it in 2003. And then the great Willie Blade from Mississippi State. He also played for the Cowboys. He was at he was in Dallas like 2000, 2001. But it's just interesting looking through the media guide and seeing stuff like that,
I do think there's a chance that the Texans might have to give 99 to somebody, because
but it's going to be a special circumstance, like a guy who's an MVP and JJ talks about him, and I'd be honored if he wore it. It'd be one of those type of instances.
Well, you have more guys in college that might wear 99 than you will receivers wearing number 80. You just don't have, receivers want to wear single digits now. They're wearing, numbers in the tens. That's what they want now. A lot of times the players that end up getting, the 80s ends up being the last choice, if you will. It's not the one that the kids want nowadays. They want number 5. They want number 15. They want number 18. They want one of those single digit or low numbers. They're not picking 80. And so receivers a lot of times they're exhausted, and especially now because you can have single digits. Because you have single digits now the receivers are, hey, I want my number. I want this. And so I think 80 is probably, it's just my hunch, I think it's probably never going to get worn. I shouldn't say never. 99.9% chance it doesn't get worn again. Yeah. Because my guess is this: if the Texans get to a point down the road where they have they have to draft a tremendous receiver. They draft a guy like last year, Malik Neighbors. He wore number 8 at LSU. You had Marvin Harrison. He wore 18 at Ohio State. You had Rome Odunze. He wore number 1. Those guys are going to pick their number, or they're going to pick a single-digit number or a number of that ilk because that's what they're used to. Receivers aren't wearing 80 anymore. So I
Mm-hmm.
think 80 is just, I don't even know if they have to retire it. I think it's just going to probably stay retired for the most part. That's my hunch. 99, I think, is a number that a lot of defensive ends, a lot of outside linebackers, they're wearing 99. You're just not seeing that many dudes wear 80 anymore in the league or even in college football.
All right, I got something for you. This is I predict this will kind of blow your mind.
Okay.
Basically, the number 6 for the Texans has it's pretty much been retired for its entirety. Not because of anyone that's worn it, just nobody's really worn the number 6. Think about it. Denzel Perryman wore it last year. Denzel
He did,
Perryman,
yeah.
fine season at linebacker for the Texans. He's moved on. So he wore it for the 23 season. In 21 and 22, Jeff Driscoll wore
That's
it.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
But then you got to go all the way back to 2015. And when TJ Yates came back that second
That's right.
time,
War
he was number
six.
6 in 2015. The year before, he never really took the field. He might have been on the field for like a snap or two or a game, maybe. Thad Lewis in
Yes.
2014,
I remember that.
backup quarterback, he was
Mm-hmm.
number 6. Thad Lewis is the first person in the franchise's history to wear the number 6 in
And that
2014,
was
the Bill O'Brien
2014.
era. Yeah, not even the first game of the Bill O'Brien era, but like deep into the season, Bill O'Brien era. Think about that. Nobody wore that
Wow.
number until 2014.
Now,
You know?
receivers back in the day couldn't wear a single digit.
Yeah.
But, so those single digits were out, but you would have thought a quarterback would have worn it. You would think, but no, that wasn't the case because number
And
8
nobody
was the quarterback number du jour.
and nobody wore 0 until last year when Shaq Griffin got
Right.
here and then Adrian Amos took it. So that's okay. But nobody was wearing 0. And then like you got to go through like the history. Okay, the first guy to wear the number 1 was Matt Turk, the punter, in 7. And then other than that, it's pretty much 2002 or 2003. Most of the numbers got taken. You know, number
So can you
5,
name who number 6 is for the Texans right now?
I cannot. Who is it?
I can. It's
Hmm.
punter Tommy Townsend.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah. See, this doesn't have like the current. It's all stuff from last year.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So Tommy
it's
Townsend is the next number 6, which he wore number 5 with the Chiefs, but obviously
mm-hmm.
it's Jalen Peters' number, so he settled for number 6. That's interesting that they for 12 years did not have anybody wearing number 6.
Yeah.
That's a great
Let's see.
number. I'd wear number 6. Sal Bando, A's, Brewers. I'd
Yeah.
wear number 6.
There are
I love number
probably
6.
5 other people watching or listening, and that's like
Maybe,
that's very optimistic. We know our guy Dave Howard.
maybe,
Dave Howard he probably knows who Sal Bando is, but I bet
maybe.
yeah, if Mark Vandermeer, he probably knows who Sal Bando it is.
He doesn't. I promise he doesn't know who Sal Bando is.
Not a Hall of
I
Famer, but
promise you.
Hall of very good baseball
Yeah.
player. Won
Yeah.
multiple.
Sal Bando was third baseman of the Brewers when I was growing up in Wisconsin. So yeah, Sal Bando. For some reason, number 6. That's the guy I remember is number 6, Sal Bando.
That's how
Dang it,
young,
dude.
but people forget that's how young the Texans franchise is, man. That is
Yeah,
how
sure.
young you got to. I mean, the Steelers, they probably had 58 people wear the number 6 in their history,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, you're probably right.
or the
Yeah, no
Giants or
doubt.
so on and so forth. But we need to remember that's how young the Texans franchise is. All right,
Still,
man.
hey, we can drink though. We're legal to drink. We can do
We are
that as a
legal.
franchise now. Yes.
Yeah.
So when we win a championship, we can have the champagne in the locker room. So we've reached that stage.
Top. And hopefully that can happen this year. All right, man. Well, this was kind of a weird in the lab, but what I'm going to do, we're going to pull back the curtain, and here's what I'm going to do to try and drum up interest for like people skimming through on YouTube or whatever. And I'm going to say this number almost was retired by the Texans. That's what I'm going to title it, or something along those lines. See what
Okay,
people are like. What's this
that's
mean?
good.
And they'll suffer through what we did for the first 10 minutes, and then they'll get to that and throw their hands up and
Yep.
yeah,
There you
say
go.
that throw their hands up, but maybe throw their middle fingers anyhow. Uh, John,
Throw
happy
your
4th of
hands up.
July. Hope you have
To
a
you as
great
well.
day with the fam. And I can't wait to talk with you again. We're going to do it in 2 weeks. We're going to take a break next week because the whole office is off. So we're going to observe
Yep.
that vacation, and we will come back with a vengeance in July, basically mid-July, man, when we return here on In the Lab.